Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you thought the royal drama was settling down after the holidays, think again. The first week of 2026 has been absolutely explosive, and I'm here to break down everything that's been happening. From Meghan Markle's shocking new cookbook announcement that has critics absolutely tearing her apart on social media, to a terrifying double security breach at Prince William and Kate's London home just days before Christmas, to King Charles's controversial decision about Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie that's raising serious questions about royal hypocrisy. We have so much to cover today. Trust me when I say this. These stories are interconnected in ways you might not expect, and they reveal some uncomfortable truths about where the monarchy stands right now. So settle in with your tea, because this is going to be a long one, and you won't want to miss a single detail. Let's dive in. Part 1. Meghan's cookbook controversy. The internet erupts the announcement that broke the internet. Let's start with the story that has absolutely dominated royal headlines over the past 48 hours. Meghan Markle is releasing a cookbook in early 2026, and the internet is not having it. According to multiple reports from insiders speaking to the Daily Mail, Meghan is planning to release her first adult cookbook this spring as part of her As Ever lifestyle brand expansion. The book will reportedly feature recipes from her Netflix series With Love Meghan, along with some of her favourite at-home meals and hosting tips. An insider revealed, Meghan is looking at a cookbook for early 2026, and there will be more lifestyle products coming in the spring. 2026 is looking like another big year for her. There will be more wine and definitely more homeware too. The cookbook is expected to include recipes like single skillet spaghetti, rainbow-themed fruit salad, and her signature jams and marmalades. The source added that the book will offer Meghan's tips and tricks for hosting gatherings at home. Now, on the surface, this might seem like a natural extension of her Netflix show and her lifestyle brand. After all, plenty of celebrities release cookbooks. But here's where things get absolutely savage. The response from critics and social media has been brutal, and I mean brutal. The social media backlash within hours of the cookbook announcement. Social media exploded with criticism questioning Meghan's culinary credentials. Let me share some of the comments that have been circulating because they're harsh. One critic wrote on X, formerly Twitter, "Chopping up fruit and veg, reheating quiche and day drinking doesn't count. Ouch." Another added, "She barely cooks anything. All she seems to do is crack-handedly chop and arrange fruit and veg and sprinkle on dried, tasteless flowers on stuff." A third sarcastically asked, "Does Salmonella Sussex's book include health and safety tips?" A dig both at food safety concerns and giving Meghan an unflattering nickname. The criticism centres on what viewers saw, or didn't see, in Meghan's Netflix series With Love Meghan, which premiered in December. Many critics felt the show didn't demonstrate actual cooking skills so much as basic food preparation and presentation. The Netflix show's mixed reception. To understand the cookbook backlash, we need to talk about the Netflix show it's based on. With Love Meghan received decidedly mixed reviews when it launched in late December 2025. Times columnist Hilary Rose described the show as unfathomable, adding that it includes 4 pointless crafts, 3 random friends, 2 unseen kids, 1 English prince, and a duchess in a pear tree, or at least making pear syrup. Rose added that some of the dialogue left her feeling like the English language has been fed through Google Translate and found wanting. She revealed that viewers learn that red is a festive colour and that if you don't like cheese or pepper, you might not like a dish consisting of cheese and pepper. The critique suggests the show was painfully obvious in its content, teaching viewers things they presumably already knew, while failing to deliver substantial culinary expertise or innovation. The As Ever brand expansion. But the cookbook is just one part of Meghan's bigger plan for 2026. According to insiders, the spring rollout for As Ever will see a major expansion beyond food products. The brand is expected to move away from the biscuit and crepe kits that launched the company and instead focus on high-end homeware. Candles and signature scents are expected to lead the charge, including scents reportedly inspired by her 2018 wedding to Prince Harry. Can you imagine? Essence of Windsor Chapel or fragrance of royal drama? I'm being facetious, but you get the idea. Meghan is also set to grow her wine collection. While she's already debuted white and rosé varieties, rumours suggest a California Cabernet Sauvignon is in the pipeline. described as a nod to her love of full-bodied reds. An insider said, 2026 is looking like another big year for her, but she will ease off selling her biscuit and crepe kits. Netflix's cautious approach. Interestingly, reports suggest that Netflix is playing it safe with Meghan's brand expansion. According to sources, the streaming giant is monitoring the Christmas show to see if it picks up before they do any proper pop-ups or experiences. This suggests Netflix isn't entirely confident in the show's performance and wants to see stronger numbers before investing in retail experiences or pop-up events tied to the As Ever brand. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement from her business partner. The no-harm assurance. Now, here's where things get interesting from a royal watching perspective. An insider speaking to Reality Tea claimed that Meghan's cookbook will do no harm, meaning it won't be a tell-all memoir or contain royal revelations. The source stated, Meghan is not writing a tell-all autobiography. Instead, the cookbook is being framed purely as food and hosting content, not royal memoir drama. This matters because tensions between Meghan and the royal family continue to fuel headlines. By positioning the cookbook as a safer lane for her brand, Meghan appears to be signalling that she's focusing on lifestyle content rather than dredging up more palace controversies. Former royal butler Grant Harold weighed in, I believe Meghan will write a book in 2026, however I don't think it will be the memoir many of her fans are hoping for. I think we'll likely see something that fits with her new lifestyle branding, maybe a cookbook or a written version of her Netflix show sharing tips and tricks. The irony of Meghan's cookbook history. What's particularly interesting about this cookbook announcement is the context of Meghan's previous involvement with cookbooks. When she was a working member of the royal family, Meghan wrote the foreword for Together, Our Community Cookbook in 2018, following the tragic Grenfell Tower fire in London. That project was widely praised as a meaningful, community-focused initiative that helped women affected by the tragedy. Meghan visited the Hub Community Kitchen regularly and genuinely connected with the women there. The cookbook raised money for the community kitchen and was seen as one of Meghan's most successful royal projects. Actually, the first speech I made as a member of the royal family was launching this cookbook, Meghan later reflected. The contrast between that community-focused charitable cookbook and her current commercial venture is stark. One was about elevating other women's voices and supporting a traumatized community. The other is about building her personal brand and selling lifestyle products. Critics see this shift as emblematic of Meghan's transformation from working royal to lifestyle influencer. The technical glitch embarrassment, adding to Meghan's challenges. Her As Ever website experienced an embarrassing technical glitch recently. The issue temporarily displayed inflated stock numbers for her products, including over 137,000 signature fruit spread gift boxes. This sparked mockery online, with critics suggesting either the numbers were fake to create artificial demand, or the website simply wasn't properly built. Either way, it wasn't a good look for a brand trying to establish credibility in the competitive lifestyle market. What this reveals about Meghan's strategy. So what does all of this tell us about Meghan's strategy for 2026? Several things actually. First, she's doubling down on the lifestyle brand approach despite mixed reviews for her Netflix show. Meghan clearly believes there's a market for her particular brand of California-inspired entertaining and hospitality. Second, she's trying to avoid royal controversy. By explicitly framing the cookbook as no harm to the royal family, she's attempting to carve out a space where she can build her business without constantly being drawn into palace drama. Third, she's expanding aggressively despite warning signs. Netflix's cautious approach and the harsh social media response to her cooking credentials suggest the market might not be as enthusiastic as Meghan hopes. Yet she's pressing forward with cookbooks, wines, candles, and homeware. Fourth, this represents a complete transformation from her royal identity. The woman who wanted to modernise the monarchy and use her platform for social justice is now selling jam, hosting tips, and wedding-scented candles. Whether you see that as pragmatic business sense or a disappointing pivot probably depends on your broader view of Meghan. The bigger picture. Here's what fascinates me about this story. It highlights the ongoing question of what Harry and Meghan's brand actually is. They left the royal family citing mental health concerns, media intrusion, and a desire for financial independence. They've since done a tell-all Oprah interview, a Netflix docuseries, Harry's memoir Spare, and now Meghan's lifestyle content. The cookbook represents yet another pivot, away from royal revelations and toward aspirational lifestyle content. But critics question whether Meghan has the credibility in this space, especially when her Netflix show failed to demonstrate exceptional culinary skills or unique insights. The harsh social media response suggests that at least a portion of the public sees this as another example of Meghan capitalizing on her royal connection while offering little of substance. Whether that criticism is fair or just reflects ongoing hostility toward her is debatable. What's certain is that 2026 will be a crucial year for the Sussexes brand. If the cookbook flops and the As Ever expansion doesn't gain traction, they'll face serious questions about their long-term business viability. If it succeeds, Meghan will have proven her critics wrong and established herself as a legitimate lifestyle entrepreneur. We'll be watching closely, and I have a feeling this story is far from over. Part 2. The Kensington Palace Security Nightmare. A double breach. Just before Christmas. Now let's move to a story that's equally troubling, but for very different reasons. The double security breach at Kensington Palace that occurred just days before Christmas. This isn't just palace gossip. This is a serious security incident that raises legitimate concerns about the safety of senior members of the royal family. Here's what happened. On December 21st, 2025, a 39-year-old man named Derek Egan climbed over the fence at Kensington Palace and entered the gardens. He was carrying what police described as a heavy rucksack. Metropolitan police officers from the Royal and Specialist Protection Command found him on the grounds and arrested him on suspicion of trespassing. Egan was then released on police bail with specific conditions, including a prohibition against returning to the palace premises. Seems straightforward, right? Except here's where it gets alarming. Just 2 days later, on December 23rd, Egan returned to Kensington Palace and breached security again. He once again climbed the fence, entered the external palace areas, and was caught by security personnel. This time, he was arrested and charged with 2 counts of trespassing on a protected site and breaching bail conditions. William and Kate weren't home, but does that matter? The good news, if there is any in this story, is that Prince William, Princess Kate, and their 3 children were not at Kensington Palace during either incident. They were staying at Anmer Hall, their private country home on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, preparing for the Christmas holidays. However, as security experts have pointed out, the fact that the Wales family wasn't home doesn't make this any less serious. Kensington Palace houses multiple members of the royal family and staff. It's both a working palace and serves as the official London residence for William and Kate, even though they now primarily live at Forest Lodge in Windsor. The breach demonstrates vulnerabilities in the security perimeter, and if someone can get in twice within 48 hours, that's a systemic problem regardless of who was or wasn't home at the time. The court drama Derek Egan was scheduled to appear at Bromley Magistrates Court on Christmas Eve, December 24th. However, he refused to leave his prison van, causing disruption to court proceedings. District Judge Sam Guzzi proceeded with the case even though Egan wasn't physically present in the courtroom. Egan was remanded in custody and later appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court on New Year's Eve. The charges he faces are serious. Trespassing on a protected site carries significant penalties, and breaching bail conditions compounds the severity. The palace has not disclosed which other members of the royal family might have been present at Kensington Palace during the incidents, citing security concerns. This is standard protocol, but it means we don't know the full scope of who was potentially at risk. Security expert concerns. Former Metropolitan Police Royal Protection Officer Di Davies has expressed serious concerns about this incident, particularly about the decision to grant Egan bail after the first breach. The police must work out what level of danger the royal family were in, and based on the charges, why on earth he was given bail, Davies said. This gives serious cause for concern. He added, any attempt to get into Kensington Palace needs careful investigation into the motive, any mental health concerns, and if the person is fixated on a royal. Davies's point is crucial. Someone who breaches security once and then immediately returns after being released demonstrates either dangerous determination or mental health issues that require serious intervention. Granting bail in such circumstances seems, in retrospect, like a significant error in judgment. A palace spokesperson acknowledged the gravity of the situation, stating, "The charges need the Attorney General's consent because of national security concerns, but in this case, security concerns against the royal family. The Attorney General needs to consider any further security risks before granting consent to prosecute." A pattern of security failures. What makes this incident even more concerning is that it's far from isolated. Royal properties have experienced a disturbing pattern of security breaches in recent years. In October 2024, 2 masked men broke into Windsor Castle using a stolen truck to breach security gates. They scaled a 6-foot fence and stole vehicles from Crown Estate land. At the time, Prince William, Kate and their children were believed to be at nearby Adelaide Cottage, though King Charles and Queen Camilla were not present. In June 2025, there was another security incident at Windsor Castle. A spokesperson from Thames Valley Police revealed that an intruder got onto the grounds just after 1 p.m. on June 1st, but was quickly challenged by Met police officers and arrested. These recurring breaches paint a troubling picture. Despite enormous resources dedicated to royal protection, determined individuals keep finding ways to access royal properties. Each breach represents not just a security failure, but a potential tragedy that was narrowly avoided. The unique challenge of Kensington Palace. Part of the problem is the nature of Kensington Palace itself. Unlike Windsor Castle or Buckingham Palace, which are more isolated royal residences, Kensington Palace is located in the heart of London. It's adjacent to Kensington Gardens, a public park that millions of people visit each year. The palace serves multiple functions. It's a working royal residence, a tourist destination, parts of it are open to the public, and home to multiple royal family members. This creates inherent security challenges that don't exist with more isolated royal properties. Security expert commentary suggests that protecting Kensington Palace requires a delicate balance. Too much visible security makes it feel like a fortress and interferes with its role as a working palace that occasionally hosts public events. Too little security, and you get breaches like we saw in December. William and Kate's residential changes. The timing of these security breaches is particularly interesting given William and Kate's recent residential changes. In November 2025, the family completed their move to Forest Lodge, a Grade 2 listed 8-bedroom mansion in Windsor Great Park that they've described as their forever home. Forest Lodge replaced Adelaide Cottage as their primary residence. However, they maintain apartment 1A at Kensington Palace as their official London residence and use it for work-related events and engagements. Reports suggest that William intends to keep Forest Lodge as his primary residence even after becoming king, marking a significant departure from tradition. Historically, monarchs have lived at Buckingham Palace, treating it as both home and office. William apparently prefers keeping his family home separate from his official working spaces. This approach makes sense from a security perspective. Windsor offers more isolation and tighter perimeter control than central London. The grounds can be more easily secured, and the family has more privacy. However, it means Kensington Palace will continue to serve as a working location that requires robust security even when the family isn't living there full-time. The broader security debate. These incidents have reignited broader debates about royal security, particularly in the context of Prince Harry's ongoing legal battles over his security arrangements in the UK. Harry has been fighting in court for the right to pay for police protection when he visits Britain with his family. The UK government scaled back his protection detail after he stepped down as a working royal, arguing that protection should be allocated based on risk assessment and current role, not historical royal status. Harry argues that without adequate protection, he and his family are at genuine risk when they visit the UK. The government's position is that private security, rather than publicly funded police protection, is the appropriate solution for non-working royals. The Kensington Palace breaches arguably support Harry's concerns. If active security at a royal palace can be breached twice in 48 hours, what protection do Harry, Meghan and their children have when visiting the UK without police security? Of course, the counter-argument is that the breaches at Kensington Palace occurred when no royals were present, and the system ultimately worked. The intruder was caught both times before reaching any private areas or posing direct threat to individuals. Still, the fact that someone could breach security twice so quickly raises legitimate questions about vulnerability. What happens next? As of now, Derek Egan remains in custody awaiting further court proceedings. The Attorney General must consent to the prosecution due to national security implications, and that process is ongoing. More importantly, there will undoubtedly be a comprehensive review of security procedures at Kensington Palace. Questions that need answering include: how did the perimeter security fail twice in 48 hours? Why was bail granted after the first breach? Were there warning signs that Egan might attempt a second breach? What improvements can be made to prevent similar incidents? Should there be additional security measures during periods when the Wales family is away? Former security officials have called for a comprehensive assessment of current safety measures, suggesting that these repeated breaches indicate potential weaknesses in existing protocols, particularly concerning perimeter security and surveillance. The human element. It's easy to get lost in the technical security discussions, but let's not forget the human element here. Prince William and Princess Kate have 3 young children: Prince George, 12, Princess Charlotte, 10, and Prince Louis, 7. These kids are growing up with the knowledge that people occasionally try to break into their home. For William in particular, this must be triggering. His mother, Princess Diana, was famously hounded by paparazzi and intrusive media. While the threats are different now, trespassers rather than photographers, the fundamental violation of privacy and security remains. Kate, meanwhile, is still recovering from her cancer journey. The last thing she needs is additional stress about whether her family is safe in their own homes. This security breach, while ultimately thwarted, represents a very real reminder of the vulnerabilities that come with royal life. It's not all glamour and tiaras. There are genuine security concerns that most of us never have to consider. Part 3. The Beatrice and Eugenie Dilemma. Royal hypocrisy exposed. The half-in, half-out double standard. Now let's turn to a story that's generating significant controversy and accusations of royal hypocrisy. King Charles's apparent plan to give Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie more prominent royal roles, even as their father has been stripped of all titles and honours. The situation raises an uncomfortable question. Why are Beatrice and Eugenie being allowed to maintain what critics call a half-in, half-out relationship with the royal family, the exact arrangement that Harry and Meghan were explicitly denied? Let me explain what's happening and why it's generating so much debate. King Charles's recent moves. In late 2025 and early 2026, King Charles has made several moves that signal he's bringing his nieces, Princess Beatrice, 37, and Princess Eugenie, 35, closer into the royal fold, despite the scandal surrounding their father, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. In November 2025, Princess Beatrice was appointed Deputy Patron of the Outward Bound Trust, working alongside Prince Edward. This is significant because her father, Andrew, had previously been Royal Patron of the outdoor education charity from March 2019 until he resigned in November 2019 amid his Epstein scandal. Princess Eugenie, meanwhile, was named as a mentor for the King's Foundation's new 35 Under 35 initiative in May 2025. This program supports young people working in sustainability, traditional crafts, and the arts. Eugenie works professionally as an art director at Gallery Hauser and Wirth and brings legitimate expertise to this mentorship role. According to Vanity Fair, sources confirm that giving Beatrice and Eugenie expanded royal roles was something that was being looked at before recent events, but despite what has happened with Andrew, it's not off the cards. An insider added, "Whatever people might think of Andrew, the girls are kind, hard-working, and want to help if they can." The Christmas appearance that spoke volumes. The most visible sign of Beatrice and Eugenie's royal rehabilitation came at Christmas 2025. Despite speculation that they might skip the royal family's Christmas gathering at Sandringham out of loyalty to their parents, both sisters attended. This was significant. Their father Andrew and mother Sarah Ferguson, who also lost her Duchess of York title, did not attend. Beatrice and Eugenie essentially chose to side with the monarchy over their immediate family at the most family-oriented holiday of the year. Royal experts saw this as a clear signal. The sisters are positioning themselves as loyal to the institution, distancing themselves from their parents' scandals while maintaining their royal connections. Beatrice attended with her husband Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi and stepson Wolfie. The presence of the sisters at Sandringham, combined with their recent patronages and royal engagements, suggests Charles is indeed bringing them back into the royal orbit. The Harry comparison. Here's where things get controversial. In 2020, when Harry and Meghan proposed a half-in, half-out arrangement, where they would have their own jobs and financial independence but still support the Queen with royal duties, they were emphatically told no. Harry described the conversation in the Netflix docuseries Harry and Meghan. It became very clear very quickly that that goal was not up for discussion or debate. It was terrifying to have my brother scream and shout at me, and my father say things that simply weren't true, and my grandmother quietly sit there and sort of take it all in. The royal family's position was clear. You're either a full-time working royal or you're out. There would be no middle ground where Harry and Meghan could pick and choose which royal duties to perform while also pursuing commercial ventures. Fast forward to 2026, and Beatrice and Eugenie are doing exactly what Harry and Meghan were told they couldn't. They have full-time private sector jobs. Beatrice works in strategic partnerships at Affinity and runs her own consultancy. Eugenie works at an art gallery. Yet they also appear at royal events, serve as charity patrons, and represent the royal family at select engagements. Royal expert Simon Vigar explained on the Sun's Royal Exclusive podcast, "They're in an interesting position because they do public engagements, but they also have their private work and their private lives. They're sort of half in, half out, actually, the thing that Harry wanted. Beatrice and Eugenie aren't full-time working royals, so they don't quite have the public exposure that the others do." That last line is key. They don't quite have the public exposure that the others do. This suggests the palace was concerned not about the principle of half-in, half-out arrangements, but specifically about Harry and Meghan's high profile and the commercial opportunities their fame would create. The exposure problem. Several royal experts have noted that the real issue with Harry and Meghan wasn't the arrangement itself, but their global celebrity status. Harry, despite no longer being a working royal, remains one of the most famous people on earth. Meghan's Hollywood background and mixed-race heritage made her a particularly prominent figure. The palace apparently feared that a half-in, half-out arrangement for Harry and Meghan would lead to commercial exploitation of their royal connections while still maintaining official royal status. Every Netflix deal, every Oprah interview, every commercial venture would be scrutinised as potentially trading on the royal connection. Beatrice and Eugenie, by contrast, have much lower profiles. Most Americans couldn't pick them out of a lineup. Their commercial value is primarily within their professional fields, tech consulting and art gallery work, rather than as celebrity influencers. This more modest profile apparently makes the palace comfortable with them maintaining royal connections while also having private careers. They're unlikely to sign multi-million-dollar streaming deals or do tell-all interviews with major networks. They attend royal events occasionally, support specific charities, but largely stay out of the limelight. Royal expert commentary on the hypocrisy. Despite these explanations, many royal experts have pointed out what they see as clear hypocrisy. Tina Brown, author and royal commentator, noted with some irony, "After all of the trashing of Harry this week, trying to blame him for the rift, when I saw him and Meghan in Nigeria, I had a nostalgia." She was referring to Harry and Meghan's successful unofficial royal tour of Nigeria in May 2024, which demonstrated that the couple could have been valuable representatives of the UK and Commonwealth if the palace had been willing to accommodate a different arrangement. The substance of the criticism is this: the palace established a firm principle, no half-in, half-out arrangements, specifically to block Harry and Meghan. But that principle apparently doesn't apply to Beatrice and Eugenie, whose arrangement is functionally identical. This suggests the rule wasn't really about principle at all, but about specific individuals. Charles and William wanted Harry and Meghan either fully in or fully out because they feared the couple's celebrity and earning potential would overshadow and undermine the working royals. Beatrice and Eugenie don't pose that threat, so they're allowed an arrangement that Harry was denied. King Charles's motivation. To be fair to King Charles, his motivation regarding Beatrice and Eugenie seems genuinely compassionate. Royal biographer Ingrid Seward told The Sun that Charles feels quite responsible for these two girls because it's been a hideous time for them, really hideous. Both princesses are mothers of young children, and their parents' scandals, Andrew's Epstein connections, and Sarah's various controversies have put them in an impossible position. They've done nothing wrong personally, yet they're constantly dealing with the fallout from their parents' choices. Seward added that Charles is trying to bring them into the royal fold in a way where they don't feel they're just being gratuitously pulled in, but they're actually doing something for it. The king reportedly holds his nieces in high affection and insisted that Andrew's Duke of York title remain in abeyance rather than being formally stripped, specifically so that Beatrice and Eugenie could keep of York as part of their titles. Princess Beatrice is Princess Beatrice of York, just as Prince George is Prince George of Wales. Charles also reportedly made clear that Beatrice and Eugenie would still be invited to royal Christmas celebrations, even though their parents would not be. This separation of the daughters from their parents' scandals suggests Charles genuinely wants to protect his nieces while holding his brother accountable. The strategic consideration. There's also a strategic element to consider. The monarchy is currently quite slim in terms of working royals. With Harry and Meghan gone, Andrew out, and both Charles and Catherine dealing with health issues, there simply aren't many people to carry out the hundreds of royal engagements required each year. Princess Anne remains the hardest working royal by engagement count, 478 engagements in 2024, but she's 75 years old. Prince Edward and Sophie, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, have taken on more duties, but there are only so many hours in the day. Beatrice and Eugenie represent potential reinforcements. They're young, 37 and 35, well educated, familiar with royal protocol, and willing to help. They're not asking to be full-time working royals with publicly funded lives. They have private careers and incomes. They're simply offering to help out occasionally when needed. From Charles's perspective, why not utilise that resource? They can attend select events, represent the monarchy at charity functions, and help fill gaps in the royal calendar without requiring full royal funding. The public opinion factor. According to royal expert Andrew Loney, Charles is essentially testing the water with Beatrice and Eugenie. He told USA Today that the king will give them the odd job to see what public opinion is like if they are given royal duties. Their ability to take on larger royal roles will depend on whether the British public accepts them. If people see them as tainted by their father's scandals, Charles will likely keep them at arm's length. If the public views them sympathetically as innocent parties caught up in their parents' mess, they could take on more prominent positions. The Christmas appearance at Sandringham can be seen as part of this testing process. The sisters showed up, supported the family, and didn't create any drama. The public response was generally positive, with most commentators expressing sympathy for their difficult position. The Councillor of State question, adding another layer to this situation. Princess Beatrice is actually one of King Charles's Councillors of State due to her position in the line of succession. This role means she could potentially carry out official duties if the king is abroad or unwell. Beatrice has already stepped in for her uncle at least once, attending the King's Foundation Future Textiles exhibition in November 2024 when Charles couldn't attend. This demonstrates she's willing and able to represent the monarch when called upon. This Councillor of State role gives Beatrice a unique position. She's not a working royal in the traditional sense, but she has official constitutional standing that creates an obligation to be available when needed. What about Eugenie? Princess Eugenie's situation is slightly different from Beatrice's. She's not a Councillor of State due to being lower in the line of succession. However, her work with the King's Foundation and various charities shows she's committed to supporting causes aligned with royal values. Eugenie is also known to be close to several members of the royal family, including Princess Kate. She and her husband, Jack Brooksbank, divide their time between London and Portugal, giving them slightly more distance from the day-to-day royal drama than Beatrice, who lives in London full-time. Interestingly, Eugenie has maintained a relationship with Harry and Meghan even after their departure from royal life. She visited them in California and remains one of the few royals Harry is reportedly still in contact with. This could potentially position her as a bridge figure between the warring factions of the family, though whether she wants that role is another question. The verdict on royal hypocrisy. So, is this royal hypocrisy? The answer depends on your perspective. If you believe the palace's stated principle was about preventing half-in, half-out arrangements generally, then yes, allowing Beatrice and Eugenie to operate in exactly that capacity while denying it to Harry and Meghan is hypocritical. If you believe the real concern was specifically about Harry and Meghan's celebrity status and commercial potential, then treating Beatrice and Eugenie differently makes strategic sense, even if it feels unfair. What's undeniable is that there's a double standard at play. Harry and Meghan were told in no uncertain terms that their proposed arrangement was impossible. Beatrice and Eugenie are doing essentially that exact arrangement with royal blessing. Whether you see this as pragmatic flexibility or shameless hypocrisy likely depends on your broader views about Harry, Meghan, and the monarchy itself. Conclusion: 3 stories, 1 theme. As we wrap up today's deep dive, let's step back and look at what connects these 3 stories, because they're not as separate as they might first appear. The thread that connects them all 3 stories, Meghan's cookbook controversy, the Kensington Palace security breaches, and the Beatrice-Eugenie situation, reveal the same underlying tension. The monarchy is struggling to define its boundaries and protect its interests in an era where traditional rules no longer seem to apply. Meghan's cookbook represents a former royal trying to monetize her royal connections while maintaining she's moved on from that life. The palace can't stop her, but critics question whether she has the credibility to succeed without that royal association. The security breaches represent the physical vulnerability of an institution that must balance accessibility with protection. The royals can't live in complete isolation, yet determined individuals keep finding ways to breach their security. The Beatrice-Eugenie dilemma represents the palace's attempt to be flexible and pragmatic about who gets to maintain royal privileges, even as critics point out the inconsistency of allowing some people arrangements that were denied to others. What 2026 might hold. As we move forward through 2026, these tensions are only going to intensify. Meghan's cookbook will either succeed or fail, potentially determining the viability of the Sussex.